Okay, recording started. So creating the bash shell, that will not be there in the record, that you can go through, no problem. Now let me go to the pricing details. So here I want to search the pricing details of the virtual machines. I want to check the pricing details of the virtual machines. So just click on the virtual machines, then virtual machine is added, click on view. So this is the virtual machine. Okay, so this is the virtual machine we will be creating. We have not created. This is only for pricing purpose. What could be the price? Here you can see the region is West US, automatically selected. Operating system Windows, type OS only, tier standard, all categories, all VM series, and instance. So this is very, very important. So an instance will represent how many CPUs you are going to use, as well as how much RAM you are going to use. So what will be the cost? So here if you click, here you can see huge number of instances are there. Huge number of instances are there, starting with A0, A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, and so on. So B series, and then D series, E series, once again D series. So huge number of CPUs are there. For example, if what are the CPU that is pre-selected, if you see that, then what is the cost? The average per month, it is estimation only. Okay, $152.57 it will be charging per month. If you create this particular virtual machine, what is that particular virtual machine? D2V3, D2V3, which contains 2 virtual CPUs and 8 GB RAM and 50 GB temporary storage. If you create this particular virtual machine, so what could be the cost per month? $152.57 per month. Okay, so if I consider some more advanced virtual machine, for example, with 64 CPUs. So this is a virtual machine with 64 CPUs and 504 GB RAM and 2400 GB temporary storage. Then what could be the cost? Per month it will be costing around $5,933, which is actually a huge amount. Okay, so only big companies with huge big data, they are going to use such a CPU, such a instance. Okay, we are not going to use such an instance because we are actually maintaining a free account. Okay, so what we have seen previously we have seen an instance with D2 S3. D2 S3. Okay, so that is cheaper. So per month it costs around only $150, which is affordable for us, and it will contain only 2 CPUs. D2V2. D2V2. Let us see how much it costs. So D2V2 is costing around $183.96. It is also affordable because we are having $200. And how many CPUs? 2 vCPUs, 7 GB RAM, 100 GB temporary storage. Okay. So like that, we are going to select. We are going to see what are the different instances and how much cost it will actually how much cost the particular instance. We are going to assume. Okay, it is only estimation. It is not exact cost. It is only estimation. So like that, we can estimate the cost for not only for virtual machines, but also for storage accounts as well as Azure SQL databases. So each and every resource you create will incur cost. Okay, that is very, very important. Each and every resource you create is going to incur a cost. So now that is about cost. So in addition to setting the cost, we need to set the budget also. So what is meant by budget is actually we are having only limited amount of budget. What is our budget? Only $200 has been given freely by Microsoft Azure. So however, before actually going for the budget, So I want to delete this particular resource group, so that charges will not be incurred. So how to delete the resource group? Just open that particular resource group, click on the resource group, and then click on delete resource group. So I'm going to click on delete resource group, and then I have to give the resource group name. So bash just RG is the resource group name. Just click on delete. So it is being deleted. So whenever a resource is being created in the Windows platform, that is using the browser, then it will show in the notification bar during the creation as well as deletion. So if you create the resource using the CLI, so in the notification shown, okay, it will be automatically created, and you have to see in the resources. So now let us go to the budgeting details. So why we need budgeting? Because we want to make sure that we should complete all the exercises within the stipulated budget. How much budget I am having at present? 14,470. So initially it was 14,500. Now it is 14,470. Only 30 rupees I have utilized till now. So why only 30 rupees? Because each and every time I am creating the resource groups, resources, and deleting immediately. So if you delete immediately, then the cost will not incur. So that is why the cost is showing very less. Only 30 rupees I have used. Okay. Now it is time to actually set the budget. How to set the budget? To set the budget, just search for cost management. Cost management. So this is a service provided by Azure. Cost management plus billing. Cost management plus billing service. Just click on the cost management plus billing service. So in this cost management plus billing service, so already there is one account. So this is actually the scope, the actual account holder. Okay, so that is my Gmail account. So just click on cost management. Click on the icon cost management. Then in the cost management, you will have budgets. Here you can find budget. So click on budgets. And in the budgets, now we are going to add budget. Why we are going to add budget? Because we need to make sure that, so whenever it reaches near to 14,000, then I should get a mail from Azure that, so you are going to reach your stipulated amount. So that's why I'm creating a budget. If company is providing, then you need not create any budget, because company pays for you. Okay, so you need not worry about the budget. So for this these $2,200, I'm going to create a budget plan. So just give the budget name. So what name I shall give? I shall give any name near to. So whenever it reaches near to 14,000, then I should get a mail. So billing month. So not month, billing year. So from 2021 September to 2022 September. And amount threshold. So what is the amount threshold? 14,000. So whenever it reaches 14,000, then I should get a mail. Then click on next. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you for your response. So here there is an alert condition. So what type of alert you are going to generate is actual alert. So actual budget alert. So whenever it reaches to 95% of 14,000, that is, if it reaches to 13,300, 13,300, then I should get an alert. So to which mail ID I should get alert? I have to give the mail ID, dayakarphd@gmail.com. I should get an alert to dayakarphd@gmail.com. When I should get alert? Whenever the amount reaches to 13,300. Okay, automatically Azure is going to send an alert message to my Gmail ID so that I will be alert and I will reduce my expenditure. And language default, that's it. Just click on create. Now the budget is successfully being created. So remember that this creation of budget is not needed at your company whenever you join, because you are not going to pay, they are going to pay. So you need not to do all these things. But because ours is a free trial, we are going to create the budget. Okay, that's it. Now we have created the budget. We have seen the pricing details. Now we are ready to create the virtual machine, our first virtual machine. Okay. So pricing calculator you can close. Already we have seen the pricing calculator. Now just go to the search bar and search for virtual machines. So click on virtual machines. Now we are going to create our first Windows virtual machine. So at the top left side corner, you will have a create menu option. Just click on create and then click on virtual machine. Now we will see what are the details we are going to provide for the creation of the virtual machines. So here you can see subscription is free trial. So each and every resource is linked to our subscription as well as a resource group. I have deleted the previous resource group. So just now I can create a new resource group. I am creating Dayakar RG as the resource group, new resource group. And then I need to give the virtual machine name of the virtual machine. So name of the virtual machine, I am giving my first VM, my first virtual machine, and region. I have to select the region. So just click on the region where I should actually create this virtual machine. So now I will show you the concept of availability zone in this selection itself. Okay. So now I will select, I'm going to select West US. West US. And here there is one option known as availability options, and no infrastructure redundancy is required. Just click on that. So no, first I will show you by selecting the East US. So now whatever the virtual machine I am going to create, that will be residing in East US data center. Okay. Now click on the availability options. Just click on the availability options. What you can observe, there are availability zone as well as availability set. We discussed about availability zones previously in the second session. So what is meant by availability zone?
More than one data center, sir.
Okay, very good. In a specific region, there will be more than, if there are more than one data center, then it is called availability zone. Okay. For example, let me select South Africa North. And now click on here. So here also availability zone is available. And select West India. So if you select West India, you can see that there is no availability zone in West India. What does it mean? In the entire zone, there is only one data center. Okay. There is no guarantee that each and every region will contain availability zones. That is more than one data center. In a specific region, there may be single data center also. The best example is if you select West India, it contains only availability sets, not availability zones. Okay. So what does it mean? It contains only one data center. Similarly, if you select West US, here also there is no availability zone. In case of West US also, there is no availability zone, only availability sets are there. So what is availability set? We'll learn later. Now let me select a specific region where availability zone is there. So what we selected previously, East US. So in East US, the availability zone is available. Okay. So just I'm selecting the availability zone. Okay. So now I'm going to create my virtual machine in East US, which is having availability zones. Now let me see how many data centers are there. Just click on this menu bar. So how many data centers are there? 1, 2, 3. 3 data centers are there. Where? In East US. So you can select either 1 or 2 or 3. So based on where you are going to locate this particular virtual machine. So I am selecting 2. So in the second data center, I am going to create this Windows server. Okay. So till now, as far as the availability zone is concerned, any doubts? You can ask your doubts. So because I could not have accessibility to Google Meet screen, I could not name you. Just you can ask your doubt. No doubts?
No, sir.
No doubt. Okay. So Firdaus, any doubt? Firdaus, are you there? Okay. If you have any doubt, ask your doubt. Don't hesitate, because this is not like a student-teacher lecture. So we are all colleagues. Just we are going to share our knowledge. Okay. Don't hesitate to ask the doubts. Okay. So what does it mean in East US? How many data centers are there? 3 data centers are there, and I have selected the second data center. So what is the basic advantage of selecting the availability options? What is the basic advantage?
To know the data centers, how many data centers?
No, not that is not the advantage. So actually, assume that
Duplicate values.
very good, redundancy. So actually, assume that you are going to create one more virtual machine and deploy the same application in that virtual machine also to provide redundant data. Then what happens if a particular data center fails completely? Even though a particular data center fails, then your application will be up and running in the another data center. Okay. So that is the advantage. The advantage is you are going to maintain 2 replicas in 2 different data centers. Now I am selecting the second data center. and you may create one more virtual machine with the same configuration and place in the first data center, and both will be up and running. If at all one data center fails suddenly, then in the second data center you are going to provide the services without any outage. That is the basic advantage. Okay, that is the advantage of availability zone. Okay, now there ends the matter. So availability zone clear. Now what if there is no availability zone? For example, if I select West US, there is no availability zone there in West US. Then what can I do? There is no availability zone. How could I protect my data? How could I provide redundancy? So you can also have multiple copies of your application in the same data center also, in more than one place, okay. So that concept is called as availability set. That concept is called as what? Availability set. Okay. Now let me explain about the availability set. So it is a somewhat complicated concept. So listen carefully. So what is meant by availability set? Okay, so if there is no availability zone option, then you can select the availability set option. I have selected availability set option here, and just click on create new. Then it will open another window, create availability set. And what it is saying, it is asking to select fault domains and update domains. So to create the availability set, first of all, we should know, so what is meant by fault domain and what is meant by update domains. Okay. So here I try to give clarity. So assume that in a data center, there are several racks. Okay. In data center, there will be several racks. In each rack, we can deploy huge number of web apps, web applications. Okay. So you can deploy a huge number of web applications. This is one rack, this is the second rack. Assume like this. Okay. So, and to make sure that data redundancy is there, that is, I'm going to run my application in more than one rack, because if one rack fails, then it is called as a fault domain. Okay. So it is fault domain 1, rack 1. It is fault domain 2. It is rack 2. Okay. 2 racks are there. So now I have placed my application in the first rack here, as well as in the second rack here. Okay. So then what happens? This particular rack will have a single power source, a single networking. Assume that either the power source or the network fails and this entire fault domain fails. Then is there any downtime? there will not be any downtime because our application is up and running in fault domain 2. Okay, so our application is keep on running in fault domain 2. So that is an SCT of fault domain. So how many fault domains are preferred? 2 fault domains are preferred. If you run your application in 2 fault domains, then if any specific rack fails, then your application will be up and running in the second domain, second fault domain. There is no problem. Okay. Then what is meant by update domains? Update fault domains are physical racks. Fault domains represent physical racks. Okay. Whereas update domains represent logical entities. Running on virtual machines, and these virtual machine software. So what are different virtual machine softwares we have? The most popular virtualization software we have is what is the most popular virtualization software? Can anybody tell? Have you heard about Oracle VMbox? Oracle VMbox. Or VMware? The most popular virtualization software is VMware. Okay, VMware. So this VMware actually maintained by Microsoft organization. So among on the VMware, it is going to deploy the several different virtual machines which are created by us. Okay. However, this VMware needs maintenance, so it needs to be updated several times. Okay, so maintenance time is needed. We may be knowing that the bank server also need maintenance several times. Okay, every weekend, Sunday early morning times, they are going to schedule the maintenance activity. Like that, these this VMware software needs maintenance. Okay. However, these are logical entities. We cannot say where this virtual machine is created by which virtualization layer. Okay. So this virtual machine is created in which virtual machine VMware layer. Okay. So that's why these are all logical entities. And assume that there are 3 logical entities. So this is one logical entity which is called as update domain. Update domain. And this is another logical entity. Okay. So it is update domain 1. It is update domain 2. And there is one more. It is update domain 3. Okay. So there are basically 3 update domains, so which are maintained by the virtual machine, and we cannot say when a particular update domain is going to go for maintenance. Okay. So that's why. So assume that you have deployed your application in 2 different racks, however in the same update domain. Then assume that this update domain is going for maintenance. Then what happens? This entire update domain will fail. So both the applications are going to stop and your application will be down. Okay. So how to avoid that? You need to make sure that you are going to deploy your first application in a different fault domain, different update domain, as well as your second application not here, however, deploy here. Then even though this update domain 1 fails, then update domain 2 is up and running. That is why this application will be up and running. Okay. Even though this rack fails, this rack is up and your application will be up and running. So finally, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is, so whatever the servers you are going to create, virtual machines you are going to create, spread these virtual machines across more than one update domain. Across more than one update domain. Okay. So then it is called as availability set. Availability set. Okay. So if you define the availability set, then the Azure portal is going to distribute your virtual machines among several fault domains and several update domains. So here how many fault domains are by default? How many fault domains are there? 2 fault domains are there. By default, you have 2 fault domains. So keep it as it is. How many update domains are there? There are 5 update domains. Okay. So you can keep 5 update domains, or you can reduce or increase according to your necessity. Okay. So like this, we are going to define an availability set. So any doubts regarding availability set? Definitely there will be doubts now.
Update domain once again, sir.
Okay. So update domain means, okay, Telugulo చెప్తాను ఈజీగా
Sir.
mute your mic.
Okay.
ఓకే. సో తెలుగులో చెప్తాను, మీకు ఈజీగా అర్థమవుతుంది. సో నాకు కూడా చెప్పడానికి ఈజీగా ఉంటుంది. ఎలాగైనా అంటే ఎట్లయినా మన మాతృభాష తెలుగు కదా. ఏం లేదు, సింపుల్ లాజిక్. అప్డేట్ డొమైన్ అంటే మీనింగ్ ఏంటంటే, మనం ఏ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ తీసుకున్నా కానీ దాన్ని అప్పుడప్పుడు మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి. సో మెయింటైన్ చేయలేదనుకోండి, మొత్తం ఒక్కసారిగా కొలాప్స్ అయిపోతుంది. ఓకే. కాబట్టి ఈ మెయింటెనెన్స్ యాక్టివిటీ అప్పుడప్పుడు జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది, ప్రతి డేటా సెంటర్లో జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. సో దేన్ని మెయింటైన్ చేస్తాం మనం? దేన్ని మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి అంటే, ఈ వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ మనం క్రియేట్ చేసిన వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ అన్నీ కూడా ఎక్కడ డిప్లాయ్ చేస్తాం మనము? ఒక VMware సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అని, ఆ VMware సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ద్వారా మనం వీటన్నిటిని డిప్లాయ్ చేస్తాం. VMware సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అనేది మనకి వర్చువలైజేషన్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అనమాట. సో VMware అనేది ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్, కానీ మైక్రోసాఫ్ట్ వాళ్ళు దాన్ని యూజ్ చేస్తారో లేదని మనకు తెలియదు. అది వాళ్ళ ఇంటర్నల్ అనమాట. సో వాళ్ళు ఏదో ఒక సాఫ్ట్వేర్ని యూజ్ చేసి హార్డ్వేర్లో ఫస్ట్ ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ని ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయకుండా VMware లాంటి సాఫ్ట్వేర్ని ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తారు. అప్పుడు మనం ఏంటంటే, మనకు నచ్చిన వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ని ఆ VMware సాఫ్ట్వేర్ యూజ్ చేసి క్రియేట్ చేస్తారు కదా. సో ఆ వర్చువలైజేషన్ లేయర్లో మనం వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ని క్రియేట్ చేస్తూ ఉంటాం. ఓకే. కానీ ఒక వర్చువల్ VMware సాఫ్ట్వేర్లో ఒక నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ అన్నీ కూడా ఒకే ర్యాక్లో ఉంటాయని గ్యారంటీ లేదు. ఓకే. దే విల్ బి డిస్ట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ అమాంగ్ సెవరల్ ర్యాక్స్. ర్యాక్ అంటే ఐడియా వచ్చింది కదా. ర్యాక్ అంటే నథింగ్ బట్ ఏ బిగ్ సర్వర్ విచ్ కంటైన్స్ హ్యూజ్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ CPUs, హ్యూజ్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ ర్యామ్స్, హ్యూజ్ అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ స్టోరేజ్. దాన్ని ఒక ర్యాక్ అంటాం. ఓకే. ఒక ర్యాక్లో నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ సర్వర్స్ని మనం డిప్లాయ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. అది ర్యాక్. ఇక్కడ మనకేంటంటే 2 సినారియోస్. ఇప్పుడు మనం రిడెండెన్సీ కోసం 2 వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ని క్రియేట్ చేసాం. సేమ్ వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ రెండింటిని క్రియేట్ చేసాం. ఆ రెండింటిని 2 ర్యాక్స్లో పెట్టామనుకోండి. 2 ర్యాక్స్లో పెడితే ఒక ర్యాక్ ఫెయిల్ అయిపోతే ఇంకో ర్యాక్లో అప్లికేషన్ ఉంటుంది, అది రన్నింగ్ కంప్లీట్ అవుతుంది. అది ఫాల్ట్ డొమైన్, దాంతో క్లియర్ అనమాట. దాంట్లో ఎటువంటి కన్ఫ్యూజన్ లేదు. కానీ ఈ అప్డేట్ డొమైన్ అనేది లాజికల్గా డిఫైన్ చేసి ఉంటారు. అంటే ఇట్ కెన్ స్ప్రెడ్ ఆన్ డిఫరెంట్ ట్రాక్స్లో డిఫరెంట్ ప్లేసెస్లో ఉండొచ్చు అనమాట. సో డిఫరెంట్ ట్రాక్స్లో ఒక పర్టికులర్ లేయర్లో ఉండేదాన్ని మనం అప్డేట్ డొమైన్ అంటాం. సో ఈ వర్చువలైజేషన్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ ఎప్పుడైతే మెయింటెనెన్స్ జరుగుతుందో అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, ఆ లేయర్లో ఉండే ఏవైతే సర్వర్స్ ఉన్నాయో మనం క్రియేట్ చేసిన వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ అవన్నీ కూడా స్టాప్ అయిపోతాయి. కాబట్టి ఇప్పుడు మనం చెప్పేది ఏంటంటే, మనం 2 వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ని క్రియేట్ చేసినప్పుడు సేమ్ వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ని ఒకదాన్ని సేమ్ ర్యాక్లో కాకుండా డిఫరెంట్ ట్రాక్స్లో రెండింటిని పెడతాము. అదేవిధంగా సేమ్ అప్డేట్ డొమైన్లో కాకుండా డిఫరెంట్ అప్డేట్ డొమైన్స్లో పెట్టామంటే, సో ఒకవేళ మనకి ఫాల్ట్ డొమైన్ వచ్చినా అప్డేట్ డొమైన్ వచ్చినా రెండిట్లో ఫెయిల్యూర్ వచ్చినా కానీ మన అప్లికేషన్ రన్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. అదనమాట దీని కాన్సెప్ట్ని అవైలబిలిటీ సెట్ అంటాం. అంటే మనం ఒక సెట్గా రెడీ చేస్తున్నాం, ఒక సెట్గా రెడీ చేసి అవైలబిలిటీని ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తున్నాం అనమాట. సో అందుకని దాన్ని అవైలబిలిటీ సెట్ అంటాం. కాబట్టి అవైలబిలిటీ సెట్ అని ఎప్పుడు పిలుస్తాం మనం? whenever we are going to create more than one virtual machine, replicated virtual machines, then they should not lie on the same fault domain or same update domain. సో దీన్ని మనం చూసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, ఆటోమేటికలీ అజ్యూర్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు ప్రొవైడ్ ది సర్వీస్. ఓకే, సో దాన్ని మనం చూసాం, అజ్యూర్ ఎలా ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తుంది అనేది మనం చూసాం. ఇక్కడ మనం సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు సో అదే అడుగుతుంది అనమాట. ఇట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు ఆస్క్ హౌ మెనీ ఫాల్ట్ డొమైన్స్ డూ యూ వాంట్ టు ఇంప్లిమెంట్, హౌ మెనీ అప్డేట్ డొమైన్స్ డూ యూ వాంట్ టు ఇంప్లిమెంట్. సో మనం సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకున్న దాన్ని బట్టి అన్ని ఫాల్ట్ డొమైన్స్ అన్ని అప్డేట్ డొమైన్స్ని అది సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకొని మన అప్లికేషన్ని ప్యారలల్గా కాకుండా డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ చేస్తుంది అనమాట. మన 2 వర్చువల్ మెషిన్స్ని డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, సో దట్ ఈస్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్. నౌ ద క్వశ్చన్ ఈస్ whether we need to go for the availability zone or availability set for more availability of the resources. Which one is better?
Availability set.
Availability set.
Zones.
Availability zones. So which one is better? Always availability zone is better, because all the availability sets will be residing in the same data center. Okay, if at all entire data center fails, then all availability sets will collapse, isn't it? Yes or no? మనం డిఫైన్ చేసిన అవైలబిలిటీ సెట్స్ అన్ని కూడా
ఒకే సెంటర్లో ఉంటాయి.
ఒకే సెంటర్లో ఉంటాయి. ఆ సెంటర్ కొలాప్స్ అయిందంటే మొత్తం కొలాప్స్ అయిపోద్ది, ఇంకేం ఉండదు. మనం 10 సర్వర్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసి 10 సర్వర్స్ని అవైలబిలిటీ సెట్ క్రియేట్ చేసినా కానీ డేటా సెంటర్ మొత్తం కొలాప్స్ అయిపోతే ఆ మొత్తం పోద్ది. ఓకే, సో దట్ ఈస్ వై ద ఫస్ట్ ప్రిఫరెన్స్ మస్ట్ బి గివెన్ ఫర్ అవైలబిలిటీ జోన్స్. ఓకే, ఇన్ కేస్ దెర్ ఆర్ నో అవైలబిలిటీ జోన్స్, then there is no other way. We have to go for availability sets. Okay, for example, in case of West US, there is no option of availability zones. There is no option for availability zones. Then you have to go for availability set. Okay, the first preference must be availability zones. If there are no availability zones, then go for availability sets. Understood? Okay, so now I am not going to select either availability set or availability zone. Just for giving you clarity, I have shown you. Okay, I am selecting no infrastructure redundancy required. So shall I continue for 10 more minutes or shall I stop? So now it is already 8:15. కంటిన్యూ చేద్దామా, ఆపేద్దామా?
5 minutes కంటిన్యూ చేద్దాం సార్.
ఓకే ఓకే, సో జస్ట్ వర్చువల్ మెషిన్ క్రియేట్ చేసిస్తే ఈరోజు అయిపోతుంది. ఓకే, సో నౌ ఐ హ్యావ్ నాట్ సెలెక్టెడ్ ఎనీ redundancy required, no redundancy required. I have selected And now I'm going to select the Windows Server 2019 data center. That is Windows Server machine. Okay. So next size. Size. I need to select a limited amount. So here recommended site recommended are there. So already one is there, 2 CPUs, 8 GB, enough. Okay, 10,991 amount is there. I will go for that. And for this particular virtual machine, I need to give username and password. Okay, this is not administrator username password. This is username password for this particular virtual machine. ఈ virtual machine లో మనం ఎంటర్ కావాలంటే username password ఇవ్వాలన్నమాట. Okay, so I'm going to create my username and I'm going to give password. And confirm password. Okay. Now here it is important. Select inbound ports. So I want to log into the remote machine. Where this remote machine is being created in West US. In West US data center, this Windows machine will be created. Then how could I access? I should have a port. Okay. So to access any particular virtual machine which is located in remote area, I need a port. So for Windows machines, the port is called as RDP. RDP means Remote Desktop Protocol. Remote Desktop Protocol. What is the port number for RDP? 3389. 3389 is the port number for RDP. Okay. So now already by default it has been given as RDP because we have selected Windows machine. Here we have selected Windows machine. Now just click on review plus create. Now it is creating the virtual machine. Okay, so review process, validation process has been successful. Validation passed. So what machine I'm going to use? Standard D2S V3. And what is the subscription cost? 15 rupees per hour. 15 rupees per hour. Okay. So now just click on create. Now validation is over. Just click on create. Okay, now our first virtual machine is being deployed. Deployment is in progress. Once the deployment is over, now we can access our first virtual machine, Windows virtual machine, and connect to that particular Windows virtual machine. Yes, it has been successfully created. Next, just click on go to resource, either here or here. I'm going to go to the resource, my first VM. So this is the resource. Now I want to connect to the remote machine, remote Windows machine. How to do that? Just click on connect. Click on connect here. And what is the port I need to use? RDP port. Connect using RDP port. And for connecting, you have to download the RDP file. Okay, here there will be one option known as download RDP file. Click on download RDP file. So I am saving in the desktop this file, my first RVM. My first virtual machine. So it has been downloaded in desktop, in my desktop. I'll go to the desktop. So here it is. Just double click on my first VM. So it will ask whether to continue or not. Just click on connect. Now it is asking my credentials. So I am not going to use my Azure portal's credentials. I am going to use my credentials for connecting to remote machine. Okay. So whatever the username password while creating this virtual machine, I am going to give that username password Baker123 and then password. And check remember me and then click on OK. So it will ask you to authenticate or not. Click on yes. Yes, we have successfully connected to our first Windows virtual machine. Okay. So each virtual machine will be identified by a public IP address. What is that public IP address? IP address you can see 13.87.132.33. Okay. So now whatever you are seeing, this is not my personal computer, Windows operating system. This is the Windows operating system which is located in West US. Which is located in West US. Okay. Data center. So now let me check the configuration of this particular computer. How could we check the configuration of computer? Just search here for this PC. Whatever you are seeing is not my computer. It is the virtual machine located in West US. So just right click and click on properties. Here you can find the configuration. What is the processor? Intel Xeon CPU with speed of 2.4 gigahertz. So what is the RAM capacity? 8 GB RAM. What is the operating system? 64-bit operating system. Okay. So Windows Server 2019. The Windows operating system used in this particular virtual machine. So just hide this one. Similarly, you can check the size of the hard disk. Just search here and go to this PC. Click on this PC. Here you can see, okay, what is the size of the hard disk drive? C drive is having 126 GB and the temporary storage is having 16 GB. Okay. So these are the parameters for our new machine, our new Windows operating system, which is located in West US. Okay. So that's it. Just if you can close here to close this particular virtual machine. Just close it. Now we came to my personal computer. Okay. So this is how we can actually create a Windows-based virtual machine. So in the next class, we'll see how to create a Linux-based virtual machine. Stay tuned. You can leave now. You can ask any doubts.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. If you have any doubts, you can stay back.
Sir, we have to select only RDP as the port, sir.
Yes, for Windows operating system, the default selection is RDP port only.
Okay.